Let's turn this beautiful oak slab into a dressing table. So this is the plan. There's the crack. I'm going to go with this as the top side, just a bit more character, looks a bit nicer, and there's a little divot on the other side that I don't want on the top. So I don't have a lot of experience of filling cracks, but what I do know is epoxy is hard to get off once it's on. So the plan is to tape up around the area, tape underneath the area so it doesn't seep through, and the side, and mix up this epoxy in this cup with this paddle and some black powdered dye. So when that's mixed up, I'll attempt, without a funnel because I don't have one, to get it into this syringe. So hopefully the tiny point on the end will be enough to guide it into the crack and not all over the piece of wood. I don't think there's anything else on here that needs addressing with epoxy. There's some little crusty bits on the side which it's live edge, so I'll tidy that up later, and hopefully that will be filled in a day or two's time, and I can sand it, attach the legs, and that's one thing done. So let's get on with it. So starting off, I tape up the area around the crack. Be meticulous. I've never done this before, so it's all new territory. I don't know if you have to be this precise, but you know, I thought better to be over precise than a bit slapdash and have all the black epoxy seeping in and not being able to get it off the nice bits. And at this bit, I knew it was a 50-50 ratio, but I don't have the intelligence to work out the internal volume of a crack. So it was a bit of guesswork, and I thought a little bit extra rather than not enough would be the best bet. I didn't know how much black powder to put in, so a couple of little tips of a lollipop stick had to do. And then the fun bit of using the paddle. So carefully I filled the syringe up, and it really wanted to squirt out straight off the bat, so I dived right in and started filling up the crevice with all the lovely juicy black epoxy. This was fun, something I'd never done before, so always good to learn a skill. It did seep in a lot, so you'll see in a bit I have to keep going back and topping it up. I think this slab was about 30 mil thick, and probably ran about 15 centimeters, so that area within the wood, quite a lot to fill. So here I am fudging it and just waggling around with the lollipop stick, refilling the crack. So filling, letting it sink in, waggling around with the lollipop stick, filling again, letting it sink in, and then it was time for day 2. This is where I could peel off all the tape with some difficulty. I started underneath and it seemed to have sunk all the way through, so that was good. And the bit on the side was fully filled. And then this was a little bit trickier because of the amount of epoxy I'd put on. I don't think it had cured that hard, but cured enough for me to start on the live edge with the wire wheel brush. Making its second appearance since it was in the charcuterie board video. And half of this slab was down to the softwood, I believe, and the other half, that bit that I'm doing now with the spalting, was the cambium, I'm pretty sure. And I could have removed that bit, but I left it on. I think it goes bark, cambium, sapwood, heartwood. So getting the sanding flat wheel on it just before it was time to sand. I sanded up to 320. And I would be coating it with some Osmo poly oil, which I'd done this dining table with recently and quite enjoyed using it. Now for legs, I bought these hairpin legs and I haven't had much luck with buying legs lately. The first set of hairpin legs that come, one of the rubber feet that you put on was misshaped, so I had to get some more sent out, and then I ordered some other legs the other day, yeah, one of them, and one of the rubber feet was even missing. So fun and games when you're buying off Amazon. So here I'm just checking that the screw won't penetrate the whole of the slab. That's my jig that I've used previously for hairpin legs, and I check and it still measures up spot on with the holes for these ones as well. You just butt it up at a right angle in the corner, mark your holes, drill them. But as always, when you buy things, be it hinges or legs, the screws supplied are always awful, and these ones, I think the heads were made of plasticine. They were just falling apart, and I ended up having to get the pliers out just to remove it. Now here I'm just putting the logo on underneath. I feel like branding is a mystic art where the time is unknown, you just have to guess it. Now here I've used the straight edge from my plunge saw, because when you're lining up against a live edge, it's not the same reference point. It's different. I think it was 360 at one end, 330 at the other, but I lined it up and all worked out well. Here's where I notice a bit of an issue with the live edge, and I'll explain why. Well, I thought I was on the home straight and ready to bring it in the house and put some finish on it, but I had this, and I haven't encountered this before, but here the wood in sort of a, I'll exaggerate it, in those shapes all along here, there's about 4 or 5 of them, were lifting up. So I'll bring you in closer. So I've never encountered this before, or if I have, I haven't been too bothered. But you can see that sort of shape as we go along. And I didn't know what to do, because it's never happened to me before. But what I ended up doing is just adding super glue and activator. And I'm going to resand down to 320 and then just go over it with the flexible 400 grip pad. This has dried now with the activator, so I'm going to resand, and hopefully these won't flap up now, because I was so tempted to remove the front and have a nice square edge on this, and if I had, this wouldn't have been an issue. But I thought, you know, it's a nice, there's a nice bit of spalting at the front, and I just wanted it to contrast a lot of the sharp lines that are already in the bedroom. But I'll give it a go, I'll sand it, and we'll see how we go. Fingers crossed, because I want this done. Well, success, it worked. You can't really tell now. All the flaps stayed down, I sanded it, and it was ready to receive its coat. I was panicking here. I didn't want to put the coat on in the workshop because of the dust, but also applying it when we've just had the carpet fitted, new curtains, the whole bedroom's been done. A little bit nerve-wracking, but it all goes well with no spillages. Now, applying Osmo poly oil, I've watched a few videos before, and these non-abrasive white pads are excellent, and you just sort of rub it into the grain and then go over it along the grain with a clean cloth. That's how I did it, and it comes out really nice. There I am with the clean pad, not cloth, pad, and as you can see, you can't even tell. And there's the epoxy crack close up, and I'm really chuffed, and more importantly, my wife likes it, so it was a win. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.